Hello everybody, thanks for joining me today. In today's video, I want to go over and cover how to set up Hypseus Singe. In this video, we're going to set that up, and we're also going to set up Dragon's Lair. Now, Dragon's Lair is actually kind of tough to get set up, but the reason I'm choosing that one as my first example is because when you think of this emulator, you're automatically going to think and want to play Dragon's Lair. So we're just going to knock that one out right out the gate. But through the process of setting that game up, we're going to get the base setup done for Hypseus Singe. So we're going to get all our files, we're going to get all our bezels, we're going to get our data folder, and we're going to get all that loaded up onto the emulator itself. And we're going to lay the groundwork so we can continue on to do more than just Dragon's Lair. We'll be saying future Daphne games, as well as your Action Max, your Cinch 2, all your light gun games, and all the in-between. Before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to Dirtbag Zong, to Widge, to Pacific Bella, Rocker, and all the other members, a part of this community that keep Hypseus Singe going so you can play all the games that we knew back then, the American Laser Game Disc, the Laserdisc games, better known as your Dragon's Lair, as your Mad Dog, and all the future games that they're currently putting out still to this day. So we're keeping this project alive, and a big thank you to those members. Okay, now with that, thank yous out of the way, very appreciative, I might add. I want to put down the layout of how this is going to work. Originally, I wanted to do just one long video and knock everything out, but just through a process of setting up Dragon's Lair and knowing how to set up Action Max and the other Singe games, there's really different methods on doing everything. So I think one whole video would just be confusing, and I want to make sure that when I lay out, I break everything down, so you not only see how things work, but you understand why every part works the way it does. And by doing that, you'll be more comfortable working with the command line arguments and the batch files. I mean, you can make 15 different styles of gameplay on a single game just by the way you do the batch files. So I want to make sure you're comfortable with that. Understanding what the frame files are and how and where to put your video files. Those are the two main things for every game that runs through here is going to be your frame files and your videos. And thanks to the work of Dirtbag and the other members of this community, they actually laid a very good folder foundation in the Singe data folder. So it's going to make implementing anything we really do so much easier. I said this earlier to somebody, and it plays true to this. It's basically going to be paint by the numbers. So I'm not going to say this is easy. It's easy once you understand why I do what we're doing, and then you can just fly pretty quickly on this. My future video format for this is going to be in a playlist. So after I make my second video, I want to have a dedicated playlist to just Daphne or to Hypseus Singe. I'm not sure how many videos it's going to take up, but I want to try to cover as much as I can and make sure everything stays relevant to that video as it can. But definitely start from video 1 going down, because any groundwork we've done in a previous video, it just sets ourselves up to continue on in the next one. Okay, so with my boring introduction out of the way, I'm sure many of y'all already hit the fast forward button on that. I don't blame you, I probably would have too. But let's go ahead and actually get on with the meat of this. Anything that I'm doing, I want to have links or notes in the description area, so be sure to look at that. All my links will be posted, and anything that I quote can't link, I want to have some search terms down there that you can use to find what you need. So before we get off on talking about how we're going to get Dragon's Lair going, we have to get Hypseus Singe itself ready to go. Alright, so first off, we just want to go to this link right here is GitHub Dirtbag Zong. And he has some good interesting files here. The ones that we're going to need is going to be these two right here. Okay, so first off, you want to make sure you have a spot on your hard drive where you want it. Ideally, you want it inside the root of whatever. This is going to be set up as a standalone build right now. Later on, I'll show you how, in a later video, I'll show you how to migrate this to your other front ends. Most useful, because that's one I use, is going to be for Launchbox, and trust me, it'll be super easy. But for right now, you want to just put it at the root of whatever drive you want it to, just so you get everything running, make sure everything's working, and then you can worry about moving it somewhere else in a subfolder inside whatever front end you want to use. So I'm just going to choose my E drive. Now, especially you do here, you can go ahead and minimize your screen. All right, going to need to click right here on Hypseus Singe. Okay, it's going to take you to the screen right here. It's going to have a lot of good details. This is exactly what our emulator is going to look like. We're going to see all these files, and don't let any of this intimidate you. You'll understand all this by the time we're done with this video. Okay, and then we, of course, we have our README. Always have a README, and this has good information here. And I would suggest at least give this a once over after the video. If you try to look at it now, it's probably just all Italian or Greek. So watch this after the video, and you'll have more understanding of what majority of this means. Okay, well, while we're here, what we need is here on the right-hand side. Now, as making this video, we're at 2.11.5 on May. So if you do this later, then you might have a later build. Whatever version of build you want to use is going to be fine, as long as it's something at this date or later on. I'll right click on here, going to head to another screen, and these are going to be our notes here. Side note, very important. If you've been doing the boot silent on your games, that's actually been changed to start silent. So if you're updating this and you're still using that in your batch files, that will not work. Just use start silent and you'll get the same effect. All right, and the files that we want from here is going to be the Win64 zip. We're going to want the batch files. And they're going to want the source code. All right, and once you're done, you're going to see these three right here. Let's go ahead and start with the Hypseus Singe folder. You're going to see the Hypseus Singe folder right here, and then we can just drag and drop this. FYI, if you don't have a 7 zip yet on your computer, I would recommend to grab it so you can use it to make this stuff a whole lot easier. All right, I'm at the root of where I want this. I want to put this in my E drive. I'm just going to drag and drop it, nothing more, nothing less. All right, once you're done, you'll have this folder. Double click on that. Then you'll have all these fancy folders right here. All right, go to your next one. We have our batch files. And right here, don't let any of this worry you. We're just going to use this as a reference for now because we're not going to set any of these games up. But we will be coming back to these in future videos. And let's go back a step before we mess with the batch. This is the one that we should have done in the first place. Let's go ahead and do this now. It really shouldn't affect anything. Open this up. And this is going to be the Hypseus Singe folder. This is what we really need. This right here is the source. So I got it backwards. So under downloads, do make sure that you do the one that says Win64 first. And then follow it up with the Hypseus Singe 2.15. But again, same difference. Drag and drop it. All right, I was going to replace all files in destination. Okay, now once you have the Hypseus Singe Emulator and then the Hypseus Singe source folder, it should look like this. And as you can tell, we actually have a batch folder. And we have two files right here that we can use to build upon for our Daphne Dragon's Lair build. Now let's go back to our batch file. All right, I'm going to click on that, open it. Now, I don't want to put all these in my batch folder since none of these really work for us right now because we don't have the games themselves set up. But I still want to keep them as reference, so I'm going to create a folder for these just so they stay separate and doesn't get clustered with everything else. All right, so I'm going to create a new folder, name whatever you want. I was going to name this batch ref as in batch reference. All right, I'm just going to open this up. Control A, select all these, and just drag them all into this folder. All right, easy peasy there. All right, now once you're done with that, we're going to go up to the very top of this same page to download, and we're going to get our bezels. Now, to download all these bezels, we're going to have to take a different route as we just don't have one link to download everything. So if you go through all these folders, we'll just have to keep on clicking until we find what we want. So Dragon's Lair, 191028 ping, and that'll give us a glimpse of our bezels that we want. But I don't want to do it that way. So I'll show you an alternative way to do this. And it's actually recommended inside Dirtbag's notes. Now, I think he has a different one that he recommends, but this is the one that I use, and the link is down in the description. But just type in GitHub downloader, and the one I use is GitHub directory downloader. Click on that, and all we want to do is come over here. We want to grab this right here. We want to copy this, go to your download directory, and they're just going to paste it. All right, that's what it should look like, and then just hit enter, and then you're going to see it doing its magic down here. All right, and then you'll see it doing all this down here. So once it's completed, then you're done as far as that goes. I have this little bar under my Chrome going left to right, so I know it's doing its work. And then when it's done, you're going to see a zip folder pop up. Double click on this, and then we have our bezels. Oh, and also the Hypseus Singe folder here, if you went the source code first, we can go ahead and just rename this, and I'm just going to take out the numbers, and I'm just going to leave it there, Hypseus Singe. Just looks much cleaner for me. All right, open the folder, open up your bezels, click on your zip, make sure it's open to here, and then we can just drag and drop all these into here. Now, while we're in here, let's go ahead and pull out the bezel that we're going to use. So go to your Daphne folder, go to Dragon's Lair. Okay, and select 1920 by 1080. I'm assuming that's the style most all are using. And then select one of these that you want for your bezel. Now I want to go ahead and select two of these. I'm going to select this one, and I want to select this one right here. Go back to the root of your bezel folder, and then just drop it right here. The reason we're doing that, it just makes it much easier in the command line to bring this up if the bezels you want to use is here in the root. All right, now we're going to go to the root of the Dirtbag GitHub page. And this is also linked, so now you want the data files. Go ahead and click on that. And what this does is it's just a preset folder file structure of our games, and this is what we're going to be basing any of our builds upon. So we're going to be doing the Singe 2. I'm just showing you this. You don't need to click on this, but I want to show you what this file structure looks like. So open this up, and now this is what the game is going to look like once we have it inside our Singe. We already have a config file set up, we got our font set up, we got our overlay set up, we have our script set up, and the only thing that we're going to need to add through here once we do have this is we got to find the videos, and we had to add the sounds. Now thankfully both of these will be found in the same area, as well as one more thing, and that is ROMs. So we're going to have to put our ROM files in here, and I believe this only needs to be done if you're messing with Daphne games. Needs to be done with this one. I believe Space Ace as well. If you're doing Singe games, the light gun games, you don't have to worry about that for this. But for these games, you will need to supply the ROMs, and all that's going to be found in the same area. All right, so now I'm just going to go back to the Dirtbag root. Open back this up, and we're going to select right here on the releases 2.11.5.1. And you're going to want two downloads from here. You're going to want the framework Kimmy and the source code zip. Now the framework Kimmy is going to be useful for the Singe games. For our specific setup for Dragon's Lair, I don't think we need it for this. Okay, and while I'm waiting for all this to finish downloading, let's go ahead and add another folder into the Singe emulator. I was going to create a folder called Daphne just so I have a separate place to put my Daphne games along with my Singe games. Alright, and here it is, and as of right now it's just empty, but it won't be empty for long. Alright, looks like our downloads have completed, so let's go ahead and open up the framework Kimi one first. Open location, we'll click on that, and we're just going to move that into our Singe folder. Alright, go ahead and close that zip out. And let's go back to the root of this, Hypseus Singe, so you should see all this. We're going to add another folder, and that's going to be from the data download. Alright, so their downloads, we want the data here, open a folder, open that up, and make sure it looks like this. This is what we want. And we're just going to put the entire folder into our Singe. And the reason we want that is going to be the same concept of why we wanted all the bezels in there. Just so we already have all our foundational folders ready. We want them ready for future purposes when you do other games. This is going to make it much quicker, much easier to get future games set and ready to go. And just hit yes to all if you get the screen. Alright, once you're done, you'll have that folder here. Go ahead and close out your zip. Now, before we continue on any further, just make sure your folder, your Hypseus Singe folder, looks like this right here. So just double check, make sure everything looks good. We can double click in the Hypseus Singe data here, and then we'll see all this. Now, don't worry about any of this, just like the batch files, don't worry about it. We're going to come back to whenever we need it. Alright, now to the part that everybody hates. Everyone wants to know exactly where to get it. I want to tell you the same thing that every other YouTuber since DMCs became a thing. I cannot tell you exactly where, but what I can give you is search terms in Google to use, and it's exactly search terms I use. Now you're going to put that in Google. What's going to pop up is either your first or second website option, and it should be titled Dragon's Lair 1 and 2, and Space Ace and something enhanced or AI version. But you want to go to that link. It's going to be a forum style website. So you just want to scroll down. You'll start seeing pictures of Dragon's Lair, a Space Ace, and a bunch of other things. You're going to keep on scrolling down until you start seeing a bunch of download links. The download links will link to mega links. And the one specifically that I'm using for this video is going to be the 1080p 16:9. There is a 4:3 option. We are not going to use that. We are going to use the 16:9 option. There is going to be 4 files to download, so be sure you download each and every one of those files. And that's going to supply us everything that we need to get Dragon's Lair going on this build. Alright, and once you do that, you should have these 4 parts in your downloads. Now, before you do anything else with that, be sure to create a folder and put all 4 parts into a folder. I named this DL1080 AI Remastered. You can add one if you want. It doesn't matter what the folder's name is, as long as all of these are in a folder somewhere. You can use Win7zip for this, but I would highly recommend if you have WinRAR, or if you can, just download WinRAR. It's a free thing. Use it to extract these. Alright, so that being said, next thing you'll do, you're going to highlight all of these. Right click, and we're going to, excuse me. We want to extract all of these. I just go to WinRAR or show more options. You should see this little WinRAR symbol here, and extract files here, or to AI Remastered. It really doesn't matter. I'll just put AI Remastered. And then we're just going to wait for a process to finish. Once it's done, all the files are going to be dropped right into here. And then we can pull this file out and put it anywhere else. We are almost done with extracting this, and everything should be in here. And a quick shout out to the guys who put this together. They done a great job. They used AI to help remaster this game. If you ever played this game or gone back to play its original form, it looks like crap. It looks awful. So this definitely enhances the experience. Okay, now we can open this up. We'll see the Daphne here, and then you'll see all these files. Don't worry about it. We're not going to be using all these. We're just going to pull out what we need to get this to work with Singe. But it's going to supply us with the sound files we need. It's going to supply us with the ROMs that we need. It's going to supply us with the media that we need and its frame files. Okay, so now let's go back to the data folder that we downloaded. We're just going to look for the DLE. And what DLE means, Dragon's Lair Enhanced Edition. There's also Dragon's Lair Classic, but we're going to be using the DLE. So going ahead, right click and copy it. And we're going to place this into our Daphne folder. Okay, once you do that, here's your Daphne. You should just have this folder here. We're going to open this up. Open up our videos folder. And we're going to come back to the file that we just extracted out. Again, it doesn't matter where you put that. You can leave it where it is as is. So that's what I want to do. And just pull out what we need. So go to Daphne. I'm going to go MPEG 2. Open up the Lair folder. And we're just going to highlight everything. We're going to right click on that. We're going to copy it. Come back to our Hypseus Singe Emulator folder. Go to Daphne. Open DLE up. Go to our video. And they're just going to right click and paste. Now this may take a moment depending on speed of your computer. So we'll just wait. Alright, and once you're done, you want to have all these files. We're going to need to do one more thing before we continue on. Select on your type and sort it out. And we want to select all these DAT files. All these DAT files will need to be replaced. Don't worry, once we run Dragon's Lair, it's going to repopulate all these DAT files again, but for now you want to delete what is here. Just think of DAT files as the files that is saved whenever Singe is catching the video files. So it's basically a catch. Alright, now we're done. You should just only have all these other media files and no DAT files. Next, we want to populate our sound files. We do got a few sound files here, but we want the rest of them that came with this. Alright, and we're just going to highlight all these. You can see there is a lot more sound. So you can paste it in here. And that's our sound. Next, we need to get our ROMs in here. Okay, so come here into your ROMs. Now you can put all these ROMs in here if you want. But since we're only messing with Dragon's Lair, I'm just going to use the Dragon Lair ROMs. So I'm just going to click on that and click all of these. And the one that most of y'all will want to use is going to be the DLE21. The DLE21, that is the Dragon's Lair Enhanced version ROM. So this introduces the bridge level. It puts the scenes in mostly arranged order. As of, these are your basic original arcade style ROMs, and none of those are in order. Game just runs completely random the way it originally was intended to be. Okay, just want to highlight, drag and drop them here. And be sure to get this layer here, that's the apparent one. And the DLE21. These are just older versions of the enhanced one, so those are outdated. The DL21 is the most current one. Alright, we have our ROM files set, ready to go here. Now, this file right here is going to be your framework file, also known as just the DLE text file. The purpose of this is to point the emulator to where the videos are at. That's all this does. And it lists all the videos that the game is going to use. So this is the one that came with this build, and as you can tell, we only have 0DLE.m2v, and that is not going to work. Oh yeah, but again, so this was not going to work. This is the framework file, and it only shows one video, and we have many, many more videos. So if we're just running the base layer, then this would work, but since we're not, we're going to need the updated one. And I'll show you an example of what happens if we run just this, and then whenever you run the correct one. But first, let's find the one that we need. So it's going to be here in the video. So we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. It's going to be the two text files here. we have the list, and this just lists everything that we have as far as the videos go. We have 195, but the file that we need is this one right here, and that's going to be our framework file. As you can tell, it's much deeper. So we're just going to take this, copy it, and place it at our root. Alright, now let's go ahead and try to start this up. We come over here, we want to use the batch file that we have already. Let's open up our batch file here and see what we need to do to edit this out. First off, we want to give an example. So this tells me that we're going to run the Hypseus Singe. This right here, Lair, is going to tell me which ROM that we're going to be running. I don't want to run Lair, so we're going to change that because I want to run DLE21. DLE21. Now, this is the direction of the frame file. By default, Singe expects the frame file to be in the VLD folder, but I put it in the Daphne folder. Alright, so a quick, easy way to edit this line out. I'm just going to come over here to root of my Hypseus Singe. We're going to go to Daphne, DLE, and I want to point out to our Lair text file, but I want to pick the wrong one first. Alright, so I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to go to copy as path and highlight the VLDP all the way down to the text. I'm just going to paste this. We don't need all that. Delete the quotation. Come all the way down to in front of Daphne and delete all that back to the frame file. Alright, and I'm just going to save as here. And I'm just going to name this DLE21.bat. If you don't put .bat, it's not going to save as a text. Also, make sure save as type is all files, or it's going to save as a text file, but it's named with bat. So hit save. Close this out. Open up my batch. And here's my file. Double click on it. Okay, so things are running. You'll probably hear a sound. And it's going to say, could not open Daphne DLE video DLE.m2v. Okay, so that's what's supposed to happen. And let me show you why that happened. We'll go back to our Daphne DLE video folder, the root of the DLE, and we're going to come down here to apologize. I just had an error in my recording, so kind of threw my game off a little bit. Okay, anyways, but to pick up, it didn't work, and the reason it didn't work, get into our file here. Two reasons. One, well, the only reason, it's looking for a file that doesn't exist. So we do not have the DLE M2V. Alright, so an easy way to fix this while keeping our proper folder structure, just open up the Lair, and we're just going to copy all of this. Drag it all the way to the bottom, should be down to line 207 if you're using Notepad++. If you're not, it really doesn't matter if you use regular Notepad. That's just what I have come as default, but here, copy. Let's go back into this file here and just highlight this. I want to paste it, and now we should have success. Alright, so let's go back to the batch file. Run this again. The DLE21. And if you see that, that should only happen on your first boot. But it is actually catching or parsing everything. And that's what creates the DAT files. So this is a very good sign. Quick note, when you're running the DLE enhanced version, it's going to take a while for it to load up. It's going to come to this screen. It's going to wait. It's going to seem like the game is frozen, but it's not. It can just take a while for it to start up. You don't want to start the game until you're at the start of the attraction video. So it's loading the video up, but once the video loads up, then you're able to play. So now you can play. If you're on the keyboard, hit your number 5. You'll see credits in the on top. You hit number 1, and we're playing. Quick note, and this is all I know how to do. Left control button is going to be your sword. You're going to flail your sword button. Now you're going to hit up. Well, I was too slow there. Let's try it one more time. But the control button is going to be your sword. The directional pad, of course, will be your movement. You're going to fall. So your sword. Hit up. Oh, it kind of got a sound cue, so I just suck right now. But anyways, that's how you play. You can hit escape to get out of this. And then escape again. Okay, now let's make a couple of changes here. We'll remove the pause. And then at the end, we're going to add start silent. Start silent will usually give us a somewhat faster boot, but as far as this game goes, I really haven't noticed much of a difference. But the big one is going to be the pause. Once you take away the pause button, we're not going to have that black screen at the end where you have to hit the button again to leave the game. So I hit my escape once, and I'm out. Okay, now let's say you want to play this game using a controller. So all I like to do is make a copy of my file. I like to have separate batch files for keyboard and controller. All right, that's named as added the underscore gamepad. Now, once we're in the game, then we can start playing, and you can use your keypad. Select's going to be your coin. Start's going to start the game. Directional pad's going to make you move around. And your B or your A button, depending on what controller you're using, is going to control your sword. Okay, but it might actually help if I started the gamepad first. Alright, so now we're just going to add the dash gamepad. I put that right in front of start silent. I'm not sure if it makes a difference if it's before or afterwards, but that's just where I put it. And go ahead and save that. So now I have this for keyboard usage, and I have this for the gamepad. The gamepad controls are going to be select will give you coins, start's going to give you start your game up, and the lower right button, whether it's B, A, circle, whatever pad you're using, that's going to be his sword. And let's see with the gamepad if I can do any better. Alright, using my gamepad and it works. I hit my start button. I'm going to fall. Swing my sword. I'm climbing, running right. Much better for the gamepad. Go right on this. And this is one of the levels that I can't remember off the bat what I gotta do. But you get the gist. Hit escape, get out. But you also just hit start select on your keyboard, and that will get you out of the game as well. Alright, so now let's say you want to start the game with the original one, and you want to play the random games, or the random version of it. So we're just going to go ahead and copy one of these, want to paste it, and I'm just going to rename it original. I'll name it classic, there we go. So we're going to right click on this, edit, and right here, that's the ROM. So we want to run just Lair. Hit save on that. And of course, if you want to do it for your gamepad, you can do the same thing as well. Just going to right click that. I want to copy it. Paste it. Rename it. We're going to name it Gamepad Classic. And I'm going to boot up with this one. Now you can tell you're playing the classic version in two different ways. One, the game's going to start up much quicker, and you're not going to have the bridge level. The bridge level was not an original level in the game. It was introduced with the enhanced edition. So that's how you can tell which version you're playing. We're already at the title screen. Once this video kicks off, then we can put our coins in. I'm on controller, hit my start, and we should start off right in the castle. Alright, and that didn't work somehow. Okay, when I copy this, I didn't switch that over, so let's try that again. Lair, file save. Did I do it here? Yeah, that one's saved. Alright, let's try that again. So now you should notice a much faster boot. We're already seeing our credits. We zoom right past it. We're at the Dragon's Lair video. The video just starts off right off the bat. Got a coin in. Start. And we should start right with the gate slamming down. Alright, anyways, you get the point. Alright, now let's go ahead and add some bezels into this. So from here on out, I'm just going to focus on the original, or the enhanced version, because that's a better version. I want to copy this. You don't have to keep on copying this. I mean, you can just keep changing the same file, but I just like to have different versions of this going on. Rename it. It's just a good practice. We're going to toss in the scoreboard. All right, scoreboard, really easy to do. Going to right click and edit the pad, and we're just going to put in dash scoreboard. Save that. Close this. Start the game. And now you should see the little scoreboard in the upper left-hand side. All right, correction. So it's not scoreboard, it's score bezel. But it's score bezel, and it will save. So we should save it here now. We'll start this up. All right, now you see we have our scoreboard in the upper left-hand corner. Of course, I don't like that unless I have my bezel running, and that's just my preference. So let's first get one of these set up running the bezel. All right, so I'm going to copy my gamepad one. I'm going to rename it. Come over here, and I want to add bezel. Now first, let's find the bezel that we want to use. And I believe that we already had the one that I want to use pulled out. So we're going to go back here to bezels. And I want to use this one right here. I like the frame borders. Some of you don't like it, so personal preference. Actually, want to use this one first. That one's going to require a little bit extra work to fit properly right. Copy as path. Go back to our Daphne folder, DLE. Correction, the batch file. Batch. That's the one I want to work with, so I'm just going to edit that in Notepad. After full screen, I'm just going to add the word bezel. And actually, you can just add the name of the file itself. I think it's Lair 01, and always add the PNG at the end. File and save. All right, file and save. All right, and I want to start my bezel up. All right, so now we have our Dragon's Lair bezel going on. But if you notice up top, it's not the correct video size. So you got to get the video size to fit this. And that's going to be another easy fix. All right, so let's go back to our bezel batch file at Notepad. And we're going to add forced aspect ratio. So after this, I'm just going to right click and paste. So I'm going to say line force aspect ratio. We'll go ahead and save that. Close this. And now once I start this, it should start up to fit within the ratio of that border. Everything looks good. Now, these images, they're always going to be smaller, and I don't know how to really change that for someone does. And then we have this fitting our border.
Dragon's Lair, a fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of the
All right, let's get out of this. So I'm going to create another batch file. Copy it, rename. And add scoreboard. Want to right click this. Going to Notepad, and we're going to add the dash score bezel on here. All right, starting the game up. So now we have our scoreboard, we have our bezel on, but the scoreboard is going to go into the game itself if you leave it on the left-hand side. So I want to move this over to the right-hand side. Actually, that looks fine there, but depending on the bezel you use, or if you stretch this out any further, it's going to get in the way of the scoreboard. So I actually want my scoreboard in the upper right-hand side. So I'll show you how to put values in to change where the scoreboard goes. All right, and I'm going to go back to my scoreboard. I want to edit that. All right, and now down here at the end over here, right for the gamepad, I want to space out. I want to paste this, and it's going to be the scoreboard bezel position. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Make that easier to read. Okay, so we have line scoreboard position, and we're going for 1698 and 100. So these values, that will move this left to right, and this will move it up and down. And these values for what I need to do works. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and start this up again. All right, now I got my scoreboard right where I want that, and I'm not blocking off the Dragon's Lair emblem on the left-hand side. To me, there's a lot of empty space on the right-hand side, so I'd rather it to be right there. All right, now let's set up the really good border, the one I like, but it's going to require a little bit more extra work. Not too much, but just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and copy this one, paste, and I want to rename this one, I don't know, arcade bezel. Bezel arcade TV, whatever you want to name it, that's up to you. All right, let's go to the bezels folder, and that one's going to be called Dragon's Lair. I'm just going to hit the right name and copy it just so I know I'm not going to misspell this. All right, go back to your batch files. Go to the new bezel one that we created. Edit. And I'm just going to replace right here where it says Lair PNG. Paste it and be sure that you do put PNG at the end. Now we already have all our arguments, we have force aspect ratio, but it's still not going to fit correctly, and I'll show you how to fix that. Again, super easy once you see how it's done. Alright, and as you can tell, it's covering up the lives over here. That looks decent. Once it starts off, this is coming in too close on the edges. So we're going to add in a new command line argument here, and it's going to be it's going to be this one right here. Scale factor 83. And it doesn't, yeah, that's what we're going to use for this one. But depending on the game you're using and what you're doing, that last number is going to be different. But it decreases the size of the image. Usually a 90 or 80 itself works. But since this is a specialized bezel, this is what's going to work for this one. So we're going to save this. Start it up again. And then everything should be perfectly aligned. Okay, we have everything perfectly fit here now. And go ahead and escape out of here. I want to add one more thing to this. Now, all this is optional. I like scan lines, so we're going to add scan lines to this, especially a game that of this age and when it came out with, even though we have increased video. I think this little touch of scan lines really gives it its more nostalgic value. So I'm going to rename this Arcade. And add scan lines. Okay, and the added argument for this is going to be simple enough. We're going to edit right here. And we're just going to put dash scan lines. Hit file, save. Start this up. You can notice in the lettering, it evens a lot of those out in the upper left. Also, you can hit spacebar to remove those. So if you don't want all that details up top, you can hit spacebar. I want to give this one last go, and I'm going to call it a day. But everyone, that is it. That is how you set up the base level of Hypseus Singe and loading up Dragon's Lair. I am using my gamepad on this. It's just a basic 8-bit duo gamepad. Nothing special about it. I want to fall through, swing my sword. And they caught me. That didn't take long. Okay, well, everybody, I hope this helped you out. On the next video, I'm going to jump into doing Action Max. This is probably going to be the toughest one to get done. And if you succeeded with this one, then the rest of the series is going to be gravy. Anyways, y'all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.